He's a professional with strong public speaking and leadership talents, industry knowledge, and ability to manage large crowds. These are the qualities and skills of a successful industrial auctioneer, one of our own, Harry Shirikchian. Harry, what is your experience in the industrial auction sector?
Arshalus, I have been involved in the industrial auction sector for almost 30 years. We are involved with metalworking, plastics, processing, pharmaceutical, any industrial field that requires manufacturing. I've been involved with a lot of big companies, Fortune 500 companies, as well as small, privately owned companies. We cater to both small industries and also to the big industries. We do a lot of work with the utilities companies such as Southern California Edison, anything that pertains to machinery, industrial equipment. We're always there to evaluate and possibly proceed with an auction.
What are the key factors that determine success in your field?
Arshalus, success is the key factor of all industries, especially in the auction industry. The whole idea is to start from the beginning and at the right goals. And by doing that, we have to make sure it's advertised properly, we have the proper equipment, and especially the need of the buyers. If the equipment that we have, it's available, obviously success is easy. But if it's something like out of the ordinary, then we have to work extra hard, get the advertisement to the proper people, so we'll have success after the sale.
Harry and I go back a long way. Harry is one of the most interesting and a wonderful human being. He has a lot of integrity. His word is his bond. And if anything impresses me about a person, it's if they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. When Harry says he's going to do something, you can bet your house on it that he's going to do it. He's a man of his word. Because many people in the machinery business, they talk a lot, but when it comes to action, they don't deliver. So I would never have stayed with Harry giving him auctions if it wasn't for his credibility. The fact that I can count on him to give me my profit after the auction is over. And I've given him over the years, it's a little over 20 years, I've probably given him over probably 100 auctions all over the United States. And I think a couple in Mexico, maybe one or two in Canada. And when the auction's over, he sends me the profit that I get because I gave him the auction. That's called a finder's fee. I dealt with other auctioneers, but they all some of them proved to be unethical, and you couldn't count on them. So over the years, I have shortened my list of people who I deal with. The person you talked to, Dan Wheeler, he's one of the people that I talked to. As a matter of fact, when Dan's father died, I gave a eulogy at Dan's father's funeral, and when Harry's father died, I gave a eulogy at his father's funeral. And over the years, Harry calls me, we've gone out to lunch, gone out to dinner, we've done a lot of things together. And he always responds to my emails or my phone call or my text. I know that he's given of his time. There's a place back here where they could do basketball, and he's been a coach to people there, young kids, his children and other children. He flew to Armenia, and he also participated in helping them with their basketball or whatever teams they had at that time. So he's flown all over the world, and he's never told me how much he gives to charity. But he's a quality man, because if I take you upstairs, I have a book of different people that I know. Harry's on top with his card, American Auctioneers. Then there's Dan. Then there's another guy, Amir from Israel. And then another guy named David. So I have only 4 people that I really deal with because I know I can trust them. Like in a marriage, if you can't trust your wife, what are you staying married for? If you can't trust me, why would you want to stay married? So that's very important to be loyal and to be trustworthy. And a person's word, there's nothing, in my opinion, that's more important than a person's word. You said you would be here at 1 o'clock. You didn't call me and say, hey, by the way, we're gonna be there at 3. all of a sudden your credibility would have gone down. And it would have, because you have to honor your word. And I gave you a heads up because of my tire yesterday. I blew out a tire and then I had to have it fixed. It cost me $300 for the tire and $200 to stay in Oxnard in a hotel until it was fixed. So Harry is a good human being. He has a good heart. And when I talk to him, I always can see that. He's a family man. I'm Jewish, he's Armenian, and we get along well because we came from a similar background. We have very few Jews in the world, very few Armenians in the world, and we both had problems with 6 million Jews dying, and I think 1.5 million Armenians died. So we have that affinity that we can relate to each other. And we're both businessmen.
How do you market and promote your auctions?
That's a very good question. It's one of the best questions in the auction business. First of all, everything starts from a very, very descriptive, detailed description of everything that we sell. We start writing specifications for every item that we are selling for the public, and we promote by various places. We go through email blasts, which we've collected almost 30 years. We have almost 600,000 plus email names in our database, which we promote through. And second, a very key factor is doing a lot of brochures, like printed brochures, color brochures. So a lot of people that don't rely on emails, they would probably see our brochures coming in and they can prepare themselves for the auction. And another factor would be magazine ads. Whatever it takes through the different channels of advertisement. Without advertisement, there won't be a success in the auction industry. So that is the key factor of having a successful sale.
I met Harry for the first time, it was over 20 years ago. I still remember because he was starting out his auction business. He had a small warehouse in North Hollywood. I think it was his dad's warehouse. And that's where he held a very small auction. It was interesting because I could still see the drive in him, and he was probably in his 20s at that time, I'm guessing. He's not that much old, but he was holding a small auction, but you could see, and he quickly became, within 5 years, he became much bigger, but you could see the drive in the first time, yeah. I think Harry, from the very beginning, what I really liked about him is that he was straightforward. He was like an open book. He said what it is on his mind. He was always very friendly. He was always friendly and kind. And no matter how busy he was, he would take phone calls. This is before I even got friendly with him. And he always had the right drive. And he definitely ever since the very beginning had a sense of business. I mean, in terms of, figuring out machine values and stuff, he got into this industry, I think, after his university, but learned it very quickly, So he was a reliable source, a kind person, just a good person you want to be associated with, a good person you want to do business with. That would be, I think, nothing like more specific than that, but I would say just overall, he's a good person. Another thing that I've always loved about him is he's very family oriented. We come from an Indian family, it's a big family culture, and he always had the same respect for his dad like I do for mine. He has a great relationship with his kids like I do with mine. So it was more, that's what impressed me. And it's like you can see the same way he's kind in his business associates, he's also kind with his family. He loves to vacation with them. I mean, there is everything, he goes in depth about how proud he is of his son, who's going to USC now. And so while I have not met his kids, but I feel like I know him through Harry, and so, I loved his family attributes and his kind heart. Those are the things that I kind of admire about him. He's very, very easy to do business with. He's even easier to be friends with.
Harry, what happens to items that don't sell at the auction?
Well, a lot of things changed after COVID. A lot of our auctions are held online, which is, we don't have too many public live auctions on the floor like we used to, the traditional. So now we have what is called live online auctions. If we can't sell an item because one particular buyer may say, I'm not interested, we have the second, third person in line that were actually bidding on the same item. We would go back to them and possibly make a deal with the secondary and the third person in line.
So somebody always bids afterwards.
There's always a buyer. In the worst case scenario, if something is really old or obsolete, there are companies that will pick it up and probably use it as scrap. So we would work with scrap companies to pick up the larger pieces or smaller pieces, and they'll utilize to make it scrap and use it for another industry.
Great, so nothing goes to waste.
Nothing goes to waste. Pretty much everything that is with metal, stainless, everything has a value. Every metal has a certain value in the scrap industry. So in the worst case scenario, it'll go to scrap, but we try to utilize the best out of a machine. We try to sell it to a third world that can possibly use the older machines in their operations versus scrapping it. Scrapping is the last resort.
What about this one?
This is a part of an entire filling line that was used in pharmaceutical bottle filling. It has a capping line, a labeling line, and packaging line, and does different types of vials, any size vial. All the tools, you can change the size of the bottles as we go. So basically, you'll start from one end and finish up with a complete filled bottle of any
So it's
pharmaceutical.
a whole set, basically.
It's a whole set. It's a whole set. It determines the size, the amount of filling, the capping, the sealing, and labeling. Pretty much a complete package once it's done.
Harry and I had known each other for a long time. We just hadn't done much together. And at the time, my dad was passing away. He eventually died. And I purchased a company for my mom. And I was looking for a dependable liquidator / auctioneer. So Harry and I went out to lunch, and I had to get honest with him. And I said, Harry, I've got a lot I want to do with you, but I don't have any money right now. So he said, Dan, don't worry about that part of it. He said, if you stay faithful to me and you bring me the things you're working on, I'll cover the deal and I'll give you half the profit. And so that was the moment I knew I had a friend. And so Harry and I started working on things, and this relationship has continued on for 20 years. I am so grateful for Harry and Shireen for helping me get started, helping me when I was down on my luck, and this has really helped elevate me to the person I am today.
Harry, can you provide examples of successful industrial auctions that you've managed?
Arshalus, we've managed millions of auctions in the past, but there's always specific ones that always stays with us, being very important in our industry. You know, being a very big company, especially in the West, you know, a leading auction company nationally, we do see a lot of big companies that we managed. In fact, one of the most significant one was the Southern California Edison, which was the big machine shop that supported the San Onofre nuclear facility. We managed 4 individual auctions for them, and it was in Westminster, California, a very successful sale. And it always stayed with me because it was such a complicated facility, but we managed it perfectly and everything was a success.
What are the biggest challenges you face?
There's always a challenge when you come in the auction industry. Number one challenge is logistics, removing of the much larger equipment, which requires third-party machinery movers. We have to make sure it's managed properly and removed on time, especially if there's a landlord involved. We have to make sure the landlord is happy, making sure everything's gone out at the right time with the right procedures. Challenges are always there with us, starting from environmental cleanups and electrical disconnects, and also removal of some items that could weigh almost 500,000 pounds. So we have to make sure we have the proper people around us managing the entire removal process. Removal is the biggest challenge in the auction industry, removal and finishing up the facility.
How do you ensure fair and transparent bidding practices?
Transparency is the key factor in all auctions. We make sure everybody gets a fair bidding practice as we go from item to item, and with the increments of bidding as we go out through every big or small item. Larger items will have different increments, and smaller items will be a lot less smaller increments for people to be more comfortable upon bidding. As we go through the internet procedure, people will see the actual bid coming up, and willingly they will either bid or not bid. If they choose not to bid, then obviously the highest bid will receive the honor of getting that item. And then we try to go back with the same procedure. If we sold one item starting at $100, this next item, if it's an identical, we try to start that at $100 so everybody gets a fair practice.
For advertising on Inside TV, please call 818-653-0199.